Welcome, brothers. I want to thank you guys for coming out. And this to me is, I'm going to go fast because as I got going, I kind of got this speed up. I had so much I wanted to share that as I've coaching clients, I've been doing some stuff to talk to the guys as we've been getting back, answering comments, and I've had some phone calls. Some of you guys, it's been great to reconnect. And I came up with so many things that just filled my heart with this is what I need to share with guys today. So we are going to dive right in and encourage you as always, if you can grab a pen and paper, because there are going to be times that'll you're going to want to take notes. And a lot of this is new, never been shared before, because after a couple of years, I've learned some new things myself. So let's go after it. First of all, here's the overview for tonight. We're going to talk about what are men facing today, not where they hope they'd be by now in many cases, and how do you create a vision for a future when everything's changing? I thought this was like absolutely such a great question. Getting our head back in the game, being quiet and listening, envisioning the 2 to 5 years out plans, and then anchoring that vision and creating daily action and new beliefs. Okay, so with that, listen fast, take notes, and let's dive in, and be sure to keep touching base in the chat. So what are you facing today? And here's what I'm getting over and over again. Today, guys are stressed. And it's different stresses that I'm seeing everywhere. Some guys are stressed because money's tight, and this isn't the way it was even just a year ago. I was talking to a guy's in a manager at an apartment complex, 425 apartments, and he says this month of October, they've had more people running late, needing to go as far as the end of the month they have in the 14 years he's been working there. So people are dealing with stress, or if it's not financial stress, the work stress. Because here's the thing, companies and businesses, whether you own one or you work for one, people aren't sure where it's going, what's happening next. And so more is being put on each individual person. And with that comes strains. So I'm seeing so many people who are dealing with interpersonal relationship challenges and things that they haven't had to on an ongoing basis. Just uncertainty. It's like, okay, so here we are today, but what is tomorrow? What is next year? And there's so many things. If you were to go through and one of those, what are those things called? Those thought trees. If you were to like try to map out all the various possibilities of where everything could go, if you were to try to do one of those, you guys will type in the chat and tell me what it is, but it's like a mind map kind of a thing, and try to plot out all the variants. It's like there are so many. It's just ridiculous to try to even pick it up. Mind map. Yeah, I did have it right. Thank you. Excellent. And so how do you mind map when you have no idea what your variables are going to be? Economic hardships are very real right now. I have one of my really good friends. You guys know Ron McCormick. I actually interviewed him several years ago, and an amazing business guy. He's got a line of a bottled water, Vita Nourish, that's even in most of the Kroger chains and some of the Walmart's nutrition stores. And there's been an economic implosion. And he says, I've never worked so hard in my life and been so scrambling just to keep ahead. He goes, I was probably $500,000 in the bank last year, and now I'm trying to pay rent. And it's just the changing the economy is very real, even for very smart people like us, very hardworking people like us. The realities have shifted. And of course, they'll shift back. Don't get me wrong, but it adds to what are we facing today? Mental survival mode. And here's one thing that I've had to observe for myself as I'm going through this. I'm really doing this exercise for me. So I'm with you guys. Trust me, this whole exercise is therapeutic. And if you don't know that, as a pastor's kid, I'll tell you this. Most Sunday morning sermons, the pastor is trying to deal with something himself. And so he just does this thought mapping to do a sermon. And in the process, he gets clarity and he gets peace to deal with the issues he's dealing with himself in many cases. And so I really wanted to deal with this because I'm looking at the same thing. And one of the things I found, I want to tell you this right now, this is worth noting. We are continually in either one or two dominant states. We're either in a power state which is creativity, it's peace, it's bliss. They say stay in your zone, be in your bliss states, and you find creative forces there. You find joy and you find power and energy to do what you need to do. And like Steve Jobs, says you have to love what you do, because sometimes it can be so hard that if you don't love it, you're going to want to quit. But in the power state, it doesn't even matter. You're just in bliss. You're in the zone, as they say. The other is primal state. It's that lizard brain, and that's always about fear. It's about your natural reactions to withdraw. It's the fight, flight, or freeze. And the problem is when you're in that, you always stack your fears. And so one stack, if you give it that, in fact, I was listening to Ed Milet talk about this today. He goes, they studied it. If you spend more than 15 seconds on a given thought, your brain will offer you an additional thought to support it. And that can go either direction. So this is really good information. Think about that. If you find yourself ruminating on a strain, a stress, a fear, if you spend more than 15 seconds on that, your brain's going to say, oh, yeah, that's true. And this. And it'll do the same thing for something of future optimism you're looking forward to as well. But the problem with being in mental survival mode is it cuts off your creativity. You are just absolutely not able to come up with new thoughts and ways to come out of your problem. And so the key here is to identify it quickly when you're in that primal state and you're finding fear and you're freezing and you can't get to creativity, and go, wait. Because I love what David Bayer says. He goes, anything in primal state is a lie. And he goes, what do you mean by that? He says, there's actual concerns. There's things I should be afraid of. No. Follow it all the way down the rabbit trail of where your thoughts want to take you. At the end of it, it's not true. The thing about, well, this could happen. I'll be, homeless on the street, living out of a car, eating food out of dumpsters. If that's, you follow the trail, then you have to think to yourself, all of your life, you've had crazy ups and downs, but you're alive. You're here. So that means you've eaten, you've had food, you had something that got you through, you had a place to live. Today, even if it's stressful, what you're looking at is you look at yourself and you're going like, okay, well, I'm sitting here watching this presentation through the internet on a computer device, and I've eaten today, and I'm wearing clothes, I'm indoors in a place, so I have enough. And in all your life in the past, you've had enough. Today you have enough. And so you just have to believe by faith that, you know what, no matter what comes and what happens, I will always have enough. Confusion. And of course, that just stacks onto what we talked about before. It's like, tell me which direction I pick. I don't know. Interpersonal conflicts, all of this, especially guys in relationships or at work or dealing with a thing, or the Karens of the world, whatever the case may be, there's interpersonal conflicts that come with this, probably more so than ever. And then just demands on you from many fronts. This is one thing that guys are not appreciated for. There are demands on us from everywhere, right? There's demands, and yet, we're not as valued for what we have to contribute. That doesn't lessen the number of demands put on us. Okay, I'm going to go through this quickly, because what I'm finding a lot of is listening to guys is they're just saying, I expected myself to be farther along than I am today. And why? What are the areas of life you're not as far as you'd hope for? Maybe not as far in your career as you thought you'd be at this point, or not as much financial security, not as close to as many friends and families you'd like, not as much adventure in your life, and still single and looking for love. And so the first thing I'm going to say is, let's evaluate this for a second, because to sit in disappointment like that is the same thing as being in a primal state, and you have to be able to get out of it. And so there's typically two different answers to this I'm going to give you right now. And it's not in the notes, so I just want you to write this down or pay attention to this. One of them is, it's not your time yet. The other one is, what you were expecting wasn't for you. So let me explain that. There are reasons for us in this hurry up microwave culture that we think we're going to have all this stuff before it's fully baked. And so we put expectations on it. And when those expectations aren't met, we're disappointed. So where do those expectations come? Typically, it's from comparison. And what we typically do is we're comparing where somebody else is. Hey, this guy at this same age as me in life, he's got so much more than I do. They've got this. You look on social media, oh my gosh, they just vacation in Hawaii. I can't even go across town, right? And comparison is just such a root of all suffering and misery. The the so it's like, first of all, eliminate comparison. Say, this is your life. This is yours. And the thing I will tell you is that if it's in your heart, I believe it's yours. It's meant to be yours. What God has put in your heart, the vision you have for your life, how you'd like it to be, is yours. The timing and what it's going to take to invest may be different than you thought, but be glad that it's yours, not somebody else's. It's yours. And you will move in the direction of the thing that you put action, attention to, desire, and emotional energy into the most. And this is where comparison is very important. You guys are familiar in biology of what they call the reticular activating network, reticular activating system. The RAS is, as Dennis Waitley used to call it. Well, the RAS is the part of your brain that helps you. I'm going to put me on here. So the reticular activating system is designed to help you live and survive, honestly, because otherwise you couldn't. Right now, at this very moment, all around you is various stimulus and impulse. You're sitting in a room, it's a different temperature, lights coming from there. Maybe there's cars going by in the street in a different direction. You may have gotten distracted and lost track of being here because you're thinking about something else. Well, what you're doing over the course of your life is you've trained your own brain what's important. You know, it's that old thing about, like, if you buy a red car, all of a sudden everybody's got a red car, when there weren't any more than there were yesterday. But all of a sudden you got excited about something with emotional intensity. And anything you give emotional intensity to tells this part of your subconscious, those things are important. Let's find more of it. And so if your brain decides that, you know, and what I'm going to teach you here just shortly is to get emotionally connected with a compelling future, it's going to look for all the things that are going to support getting you there. Like, it's working in the background. It's like a GPS that's just gently guiding you to the stuff that's going to help deliver where you want. The problem is we're not aware of how much emotional energy that we're giving to all the crap stuff. And so the more we think about it, you really red flag with your emotional system that this is a huge part of my life. And so your reticular activating system is just going to go find more of it. So if you got to think about all the things you've been expecting, if you believe that in your heart that you're not as far as you should be, your brain will go to work to find proof. Yes, you're right. You're not as far as you should be. If you really believe that you shouldn't have setbacks, this is the thing, guys. I have cycled, 4 times in life, right? I come out and I go to college and get married young is really a really good thing. If you haven't heard me tell the story before, I'm very candid and very open with you guys. You know, I was a spokesman at a Christian college and I got my girlfriend pregnant. So we got married when I was 19, you know, but we loved each other. We had kids and we started life. I was going to make the best of anything because I'm an optimistic person. And then 8 years into it, she leaves for somebody else and makes me the bad guy and takes the kids. And now I'm just trashed. And I picked myself back up, started a new career, new place, new wife. And I had a lot of really cool things start to come together, but she developed schizophrenia. And so I spent 7.5 years of my life caretaking to somebody with serious mental challenges. She ends up passing away. I go through a depression. And when I come out of it, I was like liberated. If you've ever had a clinical depression, it's went on 8 months and you just have to let it finish its process, at least in my case. And I just wanted to see the world. I wanted to taste everything. I felt like I have a new chance on life. And that was at 40. And ever since then, I've done everything you guys know me for. And, you know, I traveled the world. I hadn't been out of my country since I was, 18. And now here I'm 40 and I'm finally getting out. And I went to the Amazon and then I started Colombia and Brazil and Costa Rica. And then, we did Dream Connections. Then I went all over the place, but I just decided to be yes man, like Jim Carrey. I wanted to do everything. Right. And, but prior to starting Dream Connections, I got rich in the 2000s. I had investment properties, I had my Mercedes, my Jaguar, and then I lost it all in the '08 crash and had to start all over again in poverty, real poverty. Built up dream connections over the course of years, couldn't take a salary from it for the first 3 years, and then it gets going great. We had like 8 years of blessings and abundance and marriage couples and just such bliss. I didn't even appreciate how wonderful it was while I was in it. And then all of a sudden Russia invades and now, doing the charity thing for a while till that money went out. And now we're just, what's next, right? And so if you end up feeling like I'm not where I should be in life, how could I say that? Everything I went through contributed to what I'm able to deliver today. And I have been able to reach, if you do the numbers statistically, tens of thousands of men, over 5 million views on YouTube of the videos, 900 men and women married, 450, married. It's not even that God giveth and taketh away. It's like he has given us something in every experience, good and bad. Every one of it is a gift if we understand this is part of, I am just me today as much as I was 5 years ago, 10 years. I'm still me. I'm just on this journey. And I'm going to go through other things. I'm still going to be me. And I'm going to get to enjoy it. And so the thought that my happiness rests on this list of stuff where I need to be with this much money in the bank, this kind of success, this kind of thing, it's like we're focusing on the wrong thing. So that's the key point we're going to get back to, is then where do we put our focus? So how do we come to those disappointments that we believe we should be somewhere else? And then the other question is, what stood in your way? And some of the things are just life journeys I had. I couldn't control them. Other things are stupid things I did, mistakes I made. But the perception that somehow I'm not as far as I should be is just, it's a combination of things. Asking that question creates a sense of lack. Let me see if I cover it on this next one. Comparison is the root of all happiness. I said that. Becoming released from attachment to outcomes and regrets. Okay, good. So let me teach on this for a second, because this has been something I've learned in the last couple of years that's just been really profound to me. And I got this from, you guys remember Wayne Dyer? You guys ever listen to Wayne Dyer? He passed away, but he was for 30, 40 years really a spiritual teacher and a leader. And he said, what if you were to believe every day that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be? I went through this process because I had way too much time to think in the last 2 years, which is good and bad. But I went through this process of thinking about all the different roads I could have gone differently. I mean, all the way back to my teens. What if I did this? My whole life projection would be done this. What if I did this? All these things would be different this way. And some of them would have been honestly better in some ways, but in other ways, maybe not. I don't know. Who knows if I went that way that I think now, because all I can see is I was hurt and wounded over in this path. To think that going that way wouldn't include struggle or suffering, maybe it's naive. Maybe, yes, I made mistakes and I would do it differently now because I'm wiser. Maybe I'm learning about my character along the way. But the most important thing is not to let any of the stories of our past emotionally identify us. Because here's the problem. We end up becoming connected with the mistake. How many people have said, yeah, I was an alcoholic all my life. Yeah, I came from an abusive home. I am this, I had this. I was cheated on. Somebody robbed all my money and stole from me. But more than just a reflecting on history, and that was part of your story. I mean, Lord knows the hero's journey is full of setbacks and betrayals and conflict and facing the dragon, right? But what they do is they identify it and say, that's who I am. That I am a person who has the struggle, that I am a person who was abused. I am a person who was. And that's where connecting that belief will actually guide and direct and limit your future. Because now you're on a course of your brain giving you, again, stacking more thoughts and ideas and beliefs to add up to it. So we're going to break free of that tonight. I'm going to talk fast and because I really have some stuff I want to get through for you tonight. But these are huge. These are the lessons I'm learning, and I'm grateful, and I want to pass on as much as I can. So, how do we create this vision for the future when everything is changing? Time to take notes. Let's dig in. And yes, there will be a replay of this, so you guys can catch the recording later. And maybe you want to slow it down to one of those 75% speeds, or pause and take stops. And for those guys listening and watching this on the replay, but just listen fast, write fast. How do you create a vision? Okay, first of all, evaluate the core elements of your past successes. And basically, what I'm saying is, was there a pattern beyond the circumstances themselves that brought you happiness, fulfillment, where the marketplace rewarded you for your skills and your talents, where that sweet spot happened, where you were challenged and you had to fight to make something work, but you were with great people and there was energy around it. What were you doing? What were in those elements? There's a great book, I've talked about this before, by a guy named Bob Buford, called Halftime. And he takes the football analogy of halftime in a football game to say, there comes a point where the team gets off the field and they start going, okay, let's look at the first half, see what worked, what didn't work, and let's pragmatically, non-judgmentally just look at it like you're watching somebody else play a game and just go, okay, now let's come up with a plan for the second half. So being the non-judgmental observer, stepping out of that place of attachment to yourself or that past, look at it like you're looking at a friend and you're trying to advise him on his life, and figure out what those pieces are in the big scope of things. Because you have been through many circumstances. You have been through many cities. You've been through jobs. You've been through different relationships. And so even though we look to the future and we're trying to find stability, the truth is you haven't had 100% stability leading up till now. And it hasn't stopped you from dreaming and wishing and wanting to do something great with your life. And what were the core components? I'm going to bet that in the core of what really fired you up and made you feel alive is having something that challenged you, that pulled the best out of you, that was creative and different and new, and you did it with people where you were on the same page and you felt like you had a band of brothers or coworkers or whatever it was, or maybe it was you arranged this big trip to Costa Rica. Well, are going to go to Costa Rica? I'm an organizer, right? So whatever the case may be, is like, and then it was so great. We all had this great time. Yeah, there you go. Maybe we'll make our finale event, this thing I'm going to tell you about in a little bit here. We'll do it in Costa Rica. I would love that. I think, wow, I think it's a good idea. Timo, we'll talk. So first thing is you got to get your head back in the game. Okay, I'm going to go quickly in this, but I want you to pay attention. I wrote a book a number of years ago. And I don't have to get out of this. Let me go. There you go. So I wrote this book called How to Lead in Crisis. Be the calm in the storm, the voice of reason, and lead into the future. And the first part of there you go. That's what I'm saying. Start with your core values and envision your funeral. Okay, I'm going to get into that in a little bit because I did write a book called Legacy, with Minimal Regrets, Light of Eternity. I also have a chapter on that. So let me get back because I got to fly through this. I want to get through everything in one sitting with you guys. So let's keep going. So in the book, in the book, How to Lead in Crisis, being the calm in the storm is the first thing. And first of all, that's about collecting yourself and deciding that you are to be the one who's the calm in the storm. And here's what I find. This is where accountability and discipline comes into play. It's like, I will do more to not let somebody else down than I do to let myself down. So this is why having a trainer works. When you have to show up at 7:00 because you paid the guy and he's sitting there waiting for you, you actually show up and do it. If you didn't have the trainer, we find we don't push ourselves as hard, and maybe we give ourselves a break because there's nobody waiting for us. So I like the same thing about being the calm in the storm. For me, it's easy for me to get wrapped up in my fears, my negative thinking. But if I think about it for the aspect of others, I want to be that place of calm for everybody. So I'm looking for being an example of when everybody's freaked out, everything else. I'm the level-headed one. Finding an inner voice of reason, being a voice of reason. And what does that mean? It's perspective. It's like we've lived through these things before. In the past, we've had enough. We have enough today. In the future, we will have enough. So let's think about what we want to do. What resources do we have? Pulling yourself together, being the calm in the storm. What do we have to work with here? Where are we trying to go? Then accept that everything in this moment is as it should be and for your ultimate benefit. There's a scripture verse that says, God causes all things to work together for your good. And if in anything, if you believe where you're at, what you have, isn't what it should be, you can't control it because you feel like I'm a victim to what's going on. As soon as you grab your hands on it and say, okay, if this is the day that's handed to me, then I'm going to deal with it. There was the in fact, do you guys remember who was that guy who's the vice president for Ross Perot? He was the guy that was like, he made a stupid debate, but actually he wrote a good book on his story about being a POW. He was a POW prisoner of war in I think Vietnam. But they asked, how do you survive years in that kind of environment? And who does and who doesn't survive? And it's interesting. He says, the ones that don't survive are the optimists. And because he says that seems the opposite to my brain. But he says, because they put these markers down. They just go, oh, I just got to hang on because Christmas is coming. I just got to hang on because I'm going to be home in time for my birthday. Oh, I'm going to hang on. And then when those markers don't happen, all their energy goes out of them. So instead, he says, I wake up in the morning, I look around and go, okay, this is my reality. This is what I have to do. I'm a prisoner of war. I'm here in this place. It sucks, but how can I make the best of this day? And that's where we get our head back in the game. That's where we get our head back in the game. It's like, okay, this is where I am. Cards I'm dealt. Okay, then how do we make this as good as it can be? Maintaining hope and optimism, no matter what the circumstances, is the perspective that whatever's handed to me, there is always a way to look at it as something like, okay, then let's do the best with what we have. And then repent of making pleasure your primary motivator. This has been mine. It's like so many motivations are just because, I want to do this. I want to relax. I don't want to be worked. I don't want to be stressed. Blah, blah, blah. And so instead of just looking at what's going to give me the most pleasure, think about, I'm here to make an ultimate impact, and that's going to give me incredible pleasure. So let's reframe the entire conversation as we get our heads back in the game as being impact players. All right. Now, I just got a couple points left and stuff to get through. I just got to keep going. So I want to tell you this. Your spirit is already connected to all wisdom and knowledge. You are connected to the source of all that is. And if you learn how to, as God said, be still and know that I'm God. If you can be quiet, you already have everything you need to know and all the wisdom to make the right decisions. The problem is our brains are so busy all the time, we don't quiet ourselves enough to listen. So what you need to do next is already being whispered to you if you'll listen. Now I'm going to teach you what I call the peanut butter principles. This is a new teaching, and so for all you guys who've known me for 15 years, this is new. When I was a kid, and again, a pastor's kid, so my dad made me go to church and listen to his sermons, right? And one day, when you're a kid, none of this stuff means anything. You're just basically biding time, drawing little pictures on the note cards because these sermons mean nothing. And then somewhere around 12 years old, I remember being in there, and all of a sudden there was something said that was like, whoa, wait, I get that. That was so profound. I mean, I actually had one of those aha moments. It's like, wow, that was, and it blew me away. It was my first time to have an aha moment, like a deep truth. And I was like, oh my gosh, I get that. And I remember grabbing my buddies, because we all sat there together passing notes, and because none of us were getting sermons. And so we would sit in a row because our parents made us, right? And afterwards, I'm going, guys, did you hear that? That was like, I mean, that was actually like something really cool. It was so true. I never thought about it like this. And as I'm describing what I heard said and what it meant, the other four guys were looking at me like going, that's not what he said at all. Where did you get that? And I was like, are you kidding? I mean, and they said, well, you're saying makes sense, but he didn't say that. And now, and now back to cassette tapes. So I had to go back and listen to it again. And sure enough, I heard something completely different than what was said on stage. But it somehow there was a dot connected here. What I needed. You guys ever been there before? So here's why I call it the peanut butter principle. One time in a conversation with somebody, we're talking about the good old days when we grew up as a kid. Somebody says, yeah, my mom used to put these peanut butter and banana sandwiches in my lunch bag. And all of a sudden, the word peanut butter triggered something totally unrelated about my diet and a prescription I was taking. And I realized that the peanut oil in there was creating this effect that I couldn't figure out why I was feeling. I'm going like, oh my gosh, peanut butter. Peanut butter. And of course, this guy who's simply talking about his mother putting a sandwich in the bag, going like, hang on, dude, it's just a sandwich, you know? So, and it was the funniest moment. But for me, it was like this huge aha. And I got this revelation. Sure enough, that was the truth I needed to hear. So why do I tell you this? If you ever go, and whether you're listening to me now, you go to a conference, you're listening to a podcast, or you're just talking to a buddy, and in there, something jumps out to you and says, wow, okay, wow, that was a, and it's something grabs you in here. It's like, wow, that was a thought I needed to hear. I hadn't thought about that before. Um, I'm going to tell you it's coming from one or two places. One, just on a superficial level, it could be your subconscious who's been looking for an answer for you. You know, Tony Robbins says, ask yourself really good questions and your brain will go to work and it'll come up with the answer. And so, um, and it just so happens that whatever you heard was the last piece to come together, and your subconscious gives you this, oh my gosh, finally, yes, now I have the whole picture and here it is. And all of a sudden you get this whole brain dump. The other part is, obviously, you know, my beliefs. I believe that we are eternal spirit beings, that we are loved by God, and that this amazing eternal wisdom is already connected with our spirits, and we're hard-headed, and we are so busy thinking we can't sit down to be quiet and listen. And so the problem is that everything we need to know is being told to us. And so sometimes if we're not being quiet, the only way that what we need to hear can get to us is if the situations have been worked, so at the right time the pieces come together, and finally all of what the spirit has been trying to tell us comes at once, and we just going, wow. And I'm sure our spirit's up there going, oh, Vey, I've been trying to tell you that for years. Finally, okay, he says peanut butter and you get it, or whatever the story may be. So why do I tell you this? I want you to understand that as you listen to me, you listen to anybody, you go out in the world, understand right now everything you need to know is already on its way and trying desperately to communicate to you what you need. And so the thing to do is to pay attention wherever you are, and not to just blow things off. But when something comes up, you go, oh, that was an interesting thought. And then we go, okay, we go about our day. It's like, but why not once in a while think like, oh, that's an interesting thought, write it down and come back to it later, because maybe that was a piece you really needed to hear. So the peanut butter principle is, you're always being fed what you need if you pay attention, realize it can come from anybody. It can come from any source. And it's not about the person or anything else. It's about the message that you needed to hear that's been coming to you. Okay. I can really go cool on that, because there's some really cool stuff about how to grab source eternal wisdom. But I'll have to save that. Now, the last piece in here is, if you make meditation and micro visualization just non-negotiables in your life, you allow these things to be absorbed into you to get that direction. So you look at, like we said earlier, you look at how to take the pieces in a confused world and just take the things that are core to you, what resonate with you, that make your soul sing, that connect with people, your life experiences, your adventures, and you combine that with what works in the marketplace, and then you bring that into a focus of understanding that there is eternal wisdom being trying to be spoken to you, that everything you need to is being already all day long trying to be said. And then when you get those little nuggets, it's like, oh, that was cool, that was an insight, and you save them. Then go to a period of time where you just shut your brain off and just let your mind percolate on them and let it float. And then micro visualizations I'll get into another time. It's part of my teaching. I don't have time right now. So the next thing to do is envisioning your 2 to 5 years out. Create this day in my life. So imagine, let's say and this is going to be different for each of you, but whatever that thing is, it's like, here's my life today. I live in this house by the beach. Picture the house, right? You just like open the door to this story. And in my case, I wrote it down. I took 3.5 pages and wrote down a day in my life. And of course, I envisioned the woman of my dreams next to me. We wake up on the pillow. Where am I? What is this house decorated like? What do I do for a living? What's the level of success I have? In this case, is it on the beach somewhere? Is it on a high rise? Is it even in this country? What am I respected for and admired for? What do people come to me for advice? What is my joy? What are the things I'm doing that just make life amazing? Okay. And take some time to write that out, day in a life from beginning to end, and seeing yourself already there. Like you are that person. You just got featured on a major magazine article. You're on the front of an entrepreneur magazine or something. Whatever the case is for you, musicians magazine. And what are you doing in that dream life? So as you go through writing this thing out, you're picturing, what are you actually doing that just makes you, that you're just on top of your game. You are the bomb. You are that thing doing it for whatever it is that gives you joy. Um, automatic transcripting. Don't forget, during the show, we need smaller window chat. Okay, that's technical for me. You can, Tom, you're going to have to walk me through that later. There will be a replay, so you can grab and capture all these things down, and my smaller picture will be visible in the corner. Start being that man today. So here's the key. Once you can really visualize it and live it with emotion, like who you are in that place, what you're doing, start as you best you can to integrate in being that man today. All right, so let's go on. Okay, and then the cool part is, of course, as part of your dream life is in this case with this group from Dream Connections, is your Ukrainian wife, and you're building that dream life. And who are you doing it with? Envision a day in your life with her as your wife. Imagine how you interact. And I encourage you to do this like you've already been married like for 2 or 3 years. Because I find when guys start this, the first impression, oh my God, she's so beautiful and our sex is so awesome. I was like this. Imagine you're already comfortable with the fact that, yeah, you have a beautiful woman in your life. You've been together for several years now, and you love everything about each other, and it's normal. So get in that place where you've been together for a few years. As you imagine a day in your life, you're already used to the fact that she's beautiful. You're not, oh my God, it's a pretty girl. This is your wife. And how do you interact together? Your humor, your inside jokes, how she makes you feel and how you make her feel. And then just feel deep gratitude for yourself that this person's in my life. And again, we're still in this phase of like picturing your life 2 to 5 years out as it all is. And then just feel the emotional gratitude of, I'm so grateful I have this life. I'm so glad. And I'll say this before we get into anchoring it. No, I think it's part of anchoring it. So you revisit the vision, and most importantly, begin to embody the persona of that man who is living that life, so you can start feeling like what it is to be him, so you can start incorporating that and moving into being that person today. And that's what's going to take you down. Anyway, so now daily actions to move in that direction. Break down the vision in little bite-sized pieces so you can take daily check boxes. In fact, after I wrote the book Legacy, I came up with this daily planner. And in the daily planner, I have a way to take, here's the 5 aspects of the legacy formula. And can you touch on one or more of them each day? Here's your gratitude practice. Write down things in your gratitude practice, your micro visualizations, and then go through the rest of your list. But taking things are going to help create that future into little things. Can I do just anything today? Can I make a phone call? Can I text somebody? Do I need to put a deposit on something for an upcoming event? Whatever the case may be. But tiny things times 365 days, they start adding up to actually creating that future. And because you've emotionally embraced it, your subconscious is driving you that direction. And again, envision yourself as that man. And then the question is, what do you need to believe differently? And I don't have a lot of time to get into this, but I will say this. When, for those guys who are with me, anybody here with me prior to 2015? Anybody back that far? Do you guys remember when I was obese? I remember I was the fat guy. You got, yes, you do, right? So as the obese man, people ask me, how did you change? What made the difference? I was obese for 30 years, so what, a lot of people yo-yo diet and they go back and forth. They always go back. This has been like almost 10 years now, right? Because we're coming up on 2025. And I realized it was a belief. So on one, yes, I drew a line in the sand. I said, no more, I'm going to change. And yes, I changed habits. But what got you to stick to the habits is because I changed my belief. I now, every time, oh, right. First Quest Mastermind. God, Dave, it's so cool, man. So great to have you here. All right, I got to hurry because I got something really cool I got to share with you. So I'm going to finish this with this. The belief I had to change was this. I got up every day believing I was a bodybuilder. And even from the first, when I was still fat, nothing had changed. But I ate oatmeal and a protein drink in the morning, and I went to the gym. And then I had a protein drink afterwards, had some fruit, and I had one healthy grilled meat meal at the end of the day. And I had four things, things like this of water during the day. And how I stuck to that was when I was tempted to go out of it, I go, no, I'm a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders don't do that. It's like if you were to go to a buddy of yours who is a real bodybuilder and offer him a Snickers bar, you wouldn't offer the guy a Snickers bar. He's a freaking bodybuilder. You already know that. Nobody has to tell you don't offer Snickers to a bodybuilder, right? Right? Can you nod your head? You wouldn't go offer a donut to a bodybuilder because you know you're the stupid one. You're the stupid one to offer a donut to a bodybuilder, right? And so if you believe you're a bodybuilder, you react the same way to yourself. I'm a bodybuilder. No, I don't do donuts. I'm a bodybuilder. And so it's the change in belief of who I am that got me to stick to all of that. And so we'll talk about the different beliefs you're going to have to change to create the life you want. So let's finish this up. I told you I was going to go fast today because you got to understand, guys, my heart is so full of all the stuff I want to pour into you. And so I just wanted to get as much as I can in. All right. Becoming the man of your dreams, that man in your vision, to be that guy who just comfortably walks the room. You know your stuff. They're interviewing you to be on magazines. You're walking it. You are that. And so you come here and, listening to a webinar is one thing. You take notes and whatever else. But implementing it into your life is a completely different thing. So I'm going to come to the one thing I told you about on the last one. And I got a special announcement. So I'm going to tell you something I've never done before. We're going to do it together. And I want to tell you how we're here to help. I'm going to introduce you to this program. I told you we're doing this 3-month program. And I'm going to tell you everything about it because I finally finished taking all the ideas. I had a whole bunch of guys come together. We were having meetings with like a dozen of us and talking about what do we love Dream Connections to do? Where do we love to go? How can we be of most help to guys? And we're based on where we're going. Here it is. Ready? Okay. I'm cleverly calling this the Armory Mastermind. And because we had a program called the Armory, and I'll tell you about it here in a second. And we got three weeks into it and the war started. So it's a 12-week intensive program. And the goal is you dedicating yourself to rising to your next level. It's about getting accountability to finally get past the limitations and succeed, because you're going to do more to not let somebody else down than you do for yourself. We all let ourselves down because we let ourselves off the hook. You're going to come away with new ideas you're going to take with you the rest of your life, and meet the future wife on your VQT program and find lasting love. Like I said, because it's a beta program. I've never done this before. I'm excited about it because I think it's like the kitchen sink. And so including in this mastermind is actually your opportunity to meet your future wife. So VQT programs included. And then just really enjoy the fellowship of other like-minded men in the Armory Mastermind, gaining new momentum and passion and purpose for your life. So once you're on track, you have it in yourself. You've gotten past your own limitations because you had accountability. You're out there meeting your wife. I'm so excited. Just like anybody going through that, it's got to absolutely be changed. It's the package. It's everything. It's not just teaching you something. It's creating the blueprint, helping you get it done, me introducing your wife. Who else does that? And you're just creating this excitement for life. It's unbelievable. How do we do it? Okay, we're going to have 12 weekly live trainings. I'll tell you about that in a second. We're going to help you develop a full quest blueprint with accountability. And I got to give credit to my brother Ladane and Rich Ford, who says we want to help guys like right off the bat come up with like at least a life plan to start on. And in the main areas of their life, we're not going to let them go until they've absolutely got it worked out and they know what that vision is going to look like and then what the steps are today. And so he says, I want to, we're going to sign guys to absolutely be one-on-one with you to make sure your quest blueprint is worked out. We'll have small group connections. It's going to be really small. I'm going to tell you how small in a minute. Plus 24/7, you're not stuck there, but I like this community on school.com. If you haven't seen it, Alex Hermosi is like one of the founders. He bought majority ownership or something, but it's a great platform. We can do everything there. And everything will be hosted there, but it's a great way to interact and it's private to us. Complete your quest blueprint for reaching your next level in life. Join the brothers. And then I'm going to finish this with a live event because I used to do this in my mastermind. You guys were in my masterminds before. We came together in Vegas and I realized how really cool that was. And so we're going to have actually included in this a full 3-day live get together. It's just it's so cool and fun. And the energy is unbelievable. And of course, meet the woman of your dreams through your virtual quest tour program. It's just crazy. And you'll thank me later. I had to throw that in there. So, the Armory, which we created, and I love the slogan, building battle-ready men. Guys, you got to freaking toughen up. We have got to get above this. No complaining. There is nothing come against us that we are not equipped to handle, but we're not able to overcome. So the Armory and this Armory Mastermind is for a very small group of guys. I'm going to tell you how small in just a minute. We're going to build that. Okay, here we go. So this was all recorded on video, and we had it all ready. I had all of these sessions taken care of, professional recorded. I've got these great worksheets to go follow with every video. And then we go through these topics, talking about strength. First of all, we're going to talk about eliminating your weaknesses, your self-limiting beliefs, and then mental toughness, and then creating the vision, planning, taking action, accountability, celebration, leadership. And then, of course, I have to, because I wrote the book. If you guys don't know, anybody in this group is going to get a free autographed copy, and I'm going to make it very personal to you, of my book, Legacy, and Living with Purpose, Find Fulfillment, Be Remembered. And of course, this amazing workshop I did with a small handful of guys called Romantic Mastery, because I learned some things over, 13 years of Dream Connections and 10,000 guys, on 10,000 dates we recorded, and 900 people are married. That's 450 marriages, 2 people in a marriage. 53 babies born at last count. And so I learned some things. And so I did a great teaching on that. So here it is. Ready? And again, you can take a picture with your camera, do a screenshot if you want to capture this. It will be on the replay, but starting November 3rd, so it's like 2 weeks. I got to do the math. We're going to go through January 19th, and we're going to have the live weekly trainings on those topics I told you about. We're going to have our own exclusive community in school.com, all the videos and the really cool worksheets. And then finally, after I recorded all this stuff, and only just a small group of people ever got to see those original Armory training videos I did. And of course, you'll have an active virtual quest tour to meet your queen, your VQT program. And you could start that right away. So you may have that before, we're even halfway done. We may be halfway into this, and guys have already, I think I better. So, which is really cool. And then a live in-person event here in the Dallas area. Although I may change it to Costa Rica. We got to see about this with Timo. And I love this idea already. We'll decide that. But anyway, it'd be those dates in January. So I want to do a quick thing here. If you guys haven't seen this, this is going to be a flashback to a lot of brothers. If you guys haven't seen this, here we go. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let me share screen on this one.
If you're feeling alone, if you have no idea what to do in life, and there's just like this brokenness, and this is the way where you get healed. This is the way where you find a path and you move forward and you reset. So make the investment emotionally, physically.
The concepts were brilliant. I learned so much, but by far the greatest experience is that I got to really bond with some amazing men, and to feel that there's genuineness and authenticity between all of us, and that we care for each other is the greatest gift.
Been through seminars in the past, and this was the one seminar that helped me internalize stuff the most. It helped me work on my heart. Just thank you for that.
It's amazing and life transforming. It really helped me tap into and find more of what's inside me that's always been there that I haven't been able to access on my own. You got to come and do this. It will transform your life, and you will find out where you're supposed to be going.
Is that cool? I don't know if you remember that, but this was, and some of you guys, there you go. Some of you guys were on, like Dave, he was part of a Quest Mastermind. I did like 5 of these where we did this kind of a 12-week program and then had a live get together at the end of it. And now I'm just adding on top of it, the latest teaching I did, adding new stuff I've never taught before, including you're finding your Ukrainian wife, except for Timo. He's got his girl. He's good, but we're happy for you, bro. And it's sort of just a bonus, honestly, because even without that, this would be amazing. So let me just wrap it up. What we're going to do is get a clear picture. This is why you want to do it. You want to get a clear picture where you are, where you're going. And I want to do this again. I miss being with brothers. I miss this energy, and I want this so much. You get embedded this deep insights in your persona and your personal life to chart your future. You're creating a blueprint for your life, come crystal clear for 25 and beyond. Raise your standards and achieve your highest aspirations, empower your passions, learn directly from me with the brothers. And, that was something else. That wasn't my comment. Somebody else was projecting that last line. Anyway, so what's all this worth? Virtual Quest Tour program to meet the wife of your dreams. Well, our VQT programs we've had, for 5 years, they're $2,500, and it's worth it. Inga is an incredible matchmaker, and this program is she gets to know you first and then starts sending you profiles of ladies we have that we know she thinks will be a good fit for you in personality and age and looks, all the things you're looking for. And when you go through what she recommends, you come up with 10 and go, yeah, you nailed it. I want to meet these. Then she'll set up these Zoom dates where you get to date the girls. And the cool part about that is that with her as your romance coach, you also get then to debrief afterwards and say, I really like that. How did it go? And she goes, this, but I can tell this about her because she knows the girls and she knows the culture, and she guides you to really be successful. That's why we've had marriages out of this. And then when you find the one where the two of you are really nuts for each other, you go figure out how to meet her. And she could be in Ukraine. She might be in Poland. She might be in Canada. She might be in the UK. She might be in the US. But anyway, that's a full matchmaking, real solid matchmaking program with proven results, and it's worth the $2,500. Now, I'm still charging guys $250 a week for coaching. I just had a guy pay his invoice today for another. He's paying 2 weeks at a time, and so he gave me another $500. But as we go on, that's $3,000 for 12 weeks, and that's what guys have been paying me. And I get most of those leads through Dr. Robert Glover site because I'm one of his certified No More Mr. Nice Guy coaches, but that's what I get paid. And then, of course, if you join an online community of some kind, you're going to pay for the online community. And then, of course, if you did a live weekend, if you've ever gone to like a Brendan Burchard event or any of these things, Tony Robbins, you pay money to go to these live weekend events. And so that's $6,600. And of course, right now it's not even half of that. It's $2,997. And I'm only doing this So I mean, literally, it's almost the same price as the VQT. I mean, only do this for 8 participants. 2 slots already gone, so I only got 6 spots left. If you want to pay in full today, it's almost $300 off, or just pay $650 today to hold the spot and say I want to be one of the last 6, and then there would just be 3 extra payments afterwards of $780. So there it is. You can grab the QR code, or you can go to this bit.ly link, bit.ly Armory Mastermind, and it'll take you to the payment page. And just do it right now, and I'll get a Stripe notification. I'll tell you how many spots we have left. I'm gonna close it at November 1st, because obviously we start on the 3rd. So if I don't fill them all up tonight, and if you're watching the webinar replay, go ahead and go in there and do that, and we'll close it out on November 1st. But I just think this is going to be the greatest of everything I've ever put together. And honestly, if you guys have been to other coaching programs, you've been at other programs, these coaches today are charging, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for coaching programs. And I'm sitting here going, like, for, $2,900, I'm giving you matchmaking to find your wife, all this kind of stuff, and the live event all together. So, however many sign up is whatever God has for me, and I'm just going to be happy with it. I'm going to love those brothers, and we're going to have a great time together. If I end up with 5, if I end up with 8, if we end up with a waiting list and I go to 10, whatever it is, it is. And so I just encourage you to, if you didn't get that, go to the bit.ly, bit.ly/Armory Mastermind, and let's do it together. Let's have a great time. All right, and with that, I'm going to wrap up the recording. But I really, thanks, team. I'm getting good. I get lots of people telling me do the masterminds. And I do have a couple of people who ask me, says, I'm in. I want to do just the VQT. I just want to meet my wife, and it's virtually the same price. So of course, we'll do that. But do it now, because I'm closing it out here in a short amount of time. Well, I'm just going to close it out when we hit 6. I get 6 spots left, and then we'll see what comes out of the other end. When we finish this up, I'll find out what I really would like to then offer in the future, and I'm sure it'll be different. So this is one where I put everything in one package, because I'm excited. I need brotherhood. I need fellowship. I've been apart from you guys too long. I want to get in and really enjoy this, and so thank you guys for doing that. And with that, strength and honor.